Hello and welcome to Strive Defense Dialogue. I'm your host, Brigadier Rakesh Bhatia. To talk to us about what is happening in West Asia, in particular Israel Hamas conflict, we have invited Major General Ajay Chaturvedi, Ati Vishesh Seva Medal, Vishesh Seva Medal. Welcome to the show, sir.
Thank you.
Sir, now it's more than 110 days that Israel Hamas conflict started. It was on 7th of October last year that Hamas rained mortar bombs and entered into Israel territory, and unsuspected Israelis faced violence. It included killing of more than 1,000 people, violence against women, children, and old people. They took hostages. So the initial sympathy was with Israel. Now, since Israel was the victim, the response which Israel sent to Hamas over a period of time, now the world is feeling that probably Israel has overplayed its hand. There are a lot of killings of civilians in Palestine that are taking place. So, what are your views? Has Israel overplayed its hand?
Thank you, Rakesh. A very good question. Now, let us see things in perspective. A, that Israel is dealing with a non state actor who does not follow any of those humanitarian acts or something or a Geneva Convention and anything. So, that is one thing which we must know. As far as violence is concerned, there were 1,400 people of Israeli origin who were killed in 7th October incident, and about 230 were taken prisoners. In response, the kind of aerial bombing and later supported by uh, ground action and naval action, Israel is believed to have killed almost 23,000 people,
Correct.
not a small number. And since they have not been able to subdue Hamas, the problem lies there. In case if they had subdued Hamas in a short and swift action, probably world would have treated them only as a terrorist organization being dealt severely. But now it has degenerated into a humanitarian crisis because it appears Hamas fighting capability may have been dented but not destroyed. Even today, they rain rockets. So that means their military capability, which they have got, they claim about say 40,000 say ranks and files with them. Uh, they are still there. So therefore, people who are dying, they are normal, unsuspecting Palestinians in Gaza. But the fact also remains, many of these are being used by Israel
Hmm.
as a human shield, in the
Correct.
sense that their entrance to their tunnel system is through masjids, to schools, to through hospitals.
Battles.
So it's a very very muddled up situation, and it's very difficult to say that who should blink first, because Israel, in case if it blinks first, it will be a very very major setback to their effort to control Palestine. And if Hamas blinks first, that will be end of Hamas. Now Hamas is being supported not only by Iran, but the collaborative action of Hezbollah and Houthis,
Correct.
in south and Hezbollah in north,
Hmm.
is making a very very major kind of a situation where the because of the Houthi action, what has happened, that Brent price has gone up by 2.4%. So the oil crisis is emerging. Saudi
Hmm.
Arabia is not supporting them. Saudi
Correct.
Arabia has not increased the production. So
Hmm.
therefore, rest of the world is going to face the oil crisis. So that is why the world is wants this issue to be resolved as quickly as possible. But presently, Israel is firm that unless Hamas is destroyed, which to my mind is not possible, because Hamas
Yes.
is more of an idea rather than a force, and ideas don't die. So therefore, if Hamas they do manage, say hypothetical, they do manage to finish it off, what will happen? That a lot of new organizations will emerge. So therefore, the world needs to take cognizance of it and try to say I mean, as you know, that writers have reported day before yesterday that Egypt, US, and Qatar are trying to broker a peace accord. Let's hope and how it things shape up. And in this case, even the ICJ's
Yes. That
tomorrow's
was going to be
hearing,
my
whether
next question, sir. That
yes,
was going to
okay,
be my next question, sir.
okay.
Uh, so this is the ICJ. Uh, South Africa has gone to International Court of Justice, and in fact, the charges are very, very serious against Israel's. They are saying genocide. Now, genocide is a huge charge against nations, and if we really look at it, there are more than 50 countries which are, and mostly from Africa and Arab world, which are supporting South Africa's case. However, the US, UK, Germany is a very big supporter of Israel's. They have rejected the allegations. I was going through the submission of evidences and arguments of all the lawyers. In fact, I was very surprised. The lawyer who was representing Israel was not very well prepared. And you know, sir, when your case is not very strong, then you tend to fumble. So he took sips of water, and in between, in fact, his assistant they rushed to give him fresh statements because they were being questioned. Sir, out of 17 members of the ICJ, with the president being from the US, there are 9 countries who have openly, at some stage or the other, criticized Israel. Sir, India has remained non committal, supporting both South Africa's case in International Court of Justice as well as genocides against Gaza's genocide. They are also saying that humanitarian assistance should be provided. Sir, firstly, I want to know that isn't genocide a too strong a word to be used against a country, and especially a country which has gone through Holocaust, and thereafter the term of genocide has been coined by a Israeli, a
Uh,
Jewish philosopher. So, sir, your
no,
views
no,
on this case that has been taken to the International Court of Justice.
there is a very
Sir, I think there is some
can you
problem
hear
with
me?
the.
Yeah.
Yes, now I
So
can hear you.
this
Yes,
case was taken up, and genocide may be a very harsh term, but the fact remains that the complete north of Gaza has been reduced to rubble.
mm,
And now they are surrounding Khan Yunus, which is in south. So
correct.
Khan Yunus also there are a lot of things which are happening in central Gaza and southern Gaza. Now, you, on one side, you can say have sympathy with Palestinians. Frankly speaking, nobody wants them. Jordan and South Bank, they have said no, we don't want them. Egypt says no, we don't want them in Sinai. So
Correct.
therefore, they have no place to go but to remain where they are. Say no Arab country are saying that you should be part of us.
Yes.
So therefore, as far as Palestinians are concerned, they need sympathy. Now, India, as far as India is concerned, India's position is very clear on this issue. They say zero tolerance for terrorist activity. So that means no sympathy for Hamas. So zero tolerance for uh, terrorist
Terrorism.
activity. Now, secondly, he says because India was the first country, one of the first countries who had recognized Palestinian state in 1988, as back as 1988. So
Correct, sir.
therefore, as far as humanitarian aid is concerned, to a Palestinian state is concerned. Now, within Palestinians also, there is no kind of a, now post this Hamas attack, the rating of Hamas acceptance in Gaza definitely has gone up, and
Yes.
likewise of um, Mahmoud, that President Mahmoud has gone down. So
Correct.
that as far as PLA or PNA, as this is called, who is supposed to be the overall in charge of the state
Yeah.
after the Oslo Accord of 1993-94. Now, the fact remains that Palestinian state is in a state of they fighting among themselves also. So Mahmoud Abbas and Hamas, they are not on the same page. Now,
Correct.
Hamas wants to say appropriate the position of sole leader of uh,
Palestine.
Palestinians. So that is what is going on. Now there are some talks are going on, which is Egypt, Qatar, and US. They want, but there are issues, and one of the major issue is that Israel wants that post destruction of Hamas, quote unquote. I won't totally buy that theory that they will be able to destroy Hamas, but be as it may. They said the control for the safety and security of Israel, the Palestinian state should have, Israel should have control over Gaza, which nobody is prepared to accept. And no, Western world definitely not even India. So therefore, this fact remains that it is a very, very terrible situation at the moment. And now two-state theory, which America wants, and in the beginning on your this thing you had mentioned about the Jewish lobby within the United
Correct.
States and the elections are there and all that thing. Media they control substantially. So therefore, they cannot antagonize that community as a community in US. No,
Absolutely.
neither Democrats, definitely not Democrats, and Republican also substantially. But the fact remains, you can't allow Israel to continue with their destruction of Gaza the way it is going on. Almost 25,000 people have been killed out of a population of just about, say, 5 lakhs or something.
Yes.
So, therefore, this kind of a destruction, 5 million people, so about say 23, 25, 4,000. So, 1% people have already been killed. You can't allow that kind of a thing. So, therefore, some solution will have to be found. And the latest is that 1 month period they want, that
Yeah.
ceasefire, which unfortunately both are not agreeing, because as I said that Hamas wants a package deal, and
Yes.
whereas Israel wants in phases.
Sir, what you had said, there is probably one example which rings in my mind where the state has, enforced its writ on a terrorist group was in Sri Lanka, sir. That is against the LTT.
Yeah, LTT.
They could never raise their head against. But probably that time they managed their diplomacy very well, sir.
No,
Because
just if you recall,
sir,
LTT has reached a stage that their source of funding had become extortion,
that's what. Uh,
drug trafficking,
uh,
and no country in the world was supporting LTT.
yes, that is exactly what I
Whereas
was
in
coming
this
to, sir.
case, Iran,
Yes,
Yemen, so lot of these, say Saudi Arabia, uh, Bahrain, who had joined
yes,
this, Bahrain, who had joined, say Abraham Accords,
uh,
has moved out.
correct,
They
sir.
have recalled their ambassador. Saudi Arabia says no, we cannot go for a agreement with the say Israel
Mhm.
based on this. So therefore, as far as Palestinian cause is concerned, now LTT. the cause of Elam was there,
Yes.
and the perpetrator was LTT. So
Correct.
LTT could not project to the world that it is their legitimate claim.
Legitimate.
Whereas
Yes.
Palestinian, even 1948 resolution,
Yes.
which is
Talks
there,
about.
talks about it, a Palestinian state,
Correct.
which Israel has not allowed it to come. And even
Mm.
even the West Bank, if there are 165 settlements of Palestinians, there are over 200 settlements of Israelis because they have been poaching onto it. They are
Yes.
nibbling on that. So
They have.
with that
Yes.
kind of a thing,
दूध का दूल्हा नहीं है
Israel is
इजराइल.
no paragon of virtue in this case. My
Absolutely.
sense is.
Another thing probably, sir, which is making things complicated is that more than half the world is going for elections. 64 countries
Yes.
have elections scheduled in this year. So you may say anything, but domestic policies or domestic pressures do dictate your foreign policies also, sir. Not
No,
taking
even
example of
say,
India.
India also, that
Yes,
lobby supporting Palestine
yes,
is not a small lobby. It's a very sizable lobby in India.
correct.
Especially, say, status quoist, say, people who have been living in the, who are romanticizing with the past policies.
Yes, yes,
They said that we supported only Palestinian as a state. ये
correct.
इसराइल कहाँ से बीच में आ गया? लेकिन
Absolutely.
the Rakesh, fact of the matter is that today we cannot ignore Israel because that's a great supporter of India.
Absolutely.
But at the same time, because of the domestic lobby, I won't use that word, but the fact remains domestic lobby has got any throwbacks to a lot of people in society, and their votes are important. So there's a lot of people who are supporting the cause of Palestinians. Now,
No,
that is
good.
why India is doing a very tightrope walking. And I think it's a very good tightrope walking. On one side, they said zero tolerance for the Hamas, but at the same time, total support for Palestinian cause. I think that is where, so India cannot move away from this. I mean, I'm sure about it that even present government cannot dare to move away from this
Correct.
policy.
And like you had alluded
And that,
to,
that is why, if you notice,
sir,
in this ICJ case,
sir,
today, Mr. Jaiswal, in his statement,
correct.
very clearly he repeated his original position. He never
Yes,
said diverted from anywhere कि नहीं जी ऐसे नहीं ऐसे होगा अगर होगा तो हम support कर देंगे ऐसा कुछ नहीं उन्होंने बोला. He says our
correct.
position remains what it is.
Absolutely. And you see, sir, last three or three major things, India has actually been non-committal, whether it was Russia-Ukraine war or it was Israel-Hamas or the recently Iran and Pakistan spat.
Pakistan.
You know,
Yes.
we have in these last two cases, we have just said that, victim of terrorism, and in case of Hamas, we have supported the humanitarian aids.
Yes.
We have actually provided also, sir.
In fact, when Iran did that, say drone-based
Right.
attack or something, a missile-based attack, they said that they have all rights. Indian said.
Yes, yes.
And Pakistan then said that they kept non-committal. So even Pakistanis have also kind of supported by
Yes.
say silence of India. So therefore,
So
we are consistent policy that we are against any kind of a form of terrorism.
that's correct, sir. Now, sir, getting back to the election time. Now, the problem is, let's say, sir, tomorrow we expect International Court of Justice to give some interim order. And most probably, a lot of people are expecting, and especially if you see Al Jazeera, also the South African press, they are very hopeful that there will be some sort of hold on Israel, some sort of instructions will be passed. But the problem is, how will US ensure implementation of that? Because, like you had said, there is a very strong lobby in Jewish lobby in the US, and no country, sir, Democrat or Republic, can afford to ignore that pressures of that US lobby, especially that with Jewish people controlling majority of the media there, sir.
No, in
According
any
to
case,
some figure, if I recall correctly, almost I think 65 to 70% of the media is controlled by Jewish people.
yes, you are right, absolutely right. But the Rakesh, one thing which also needs to be taken into note, ICJ has no enforcement mechanism available to it.
Correct.
It is the goodwill of people. Today, nobody listens to Guterres or any official of UN.
Yeah.
US does what they want to do, Russia do what they want to do, China does what they want to do. So therefore, uh, UN or all its organs like ICJ and all, they have hardly any say wherewithals to enforce what even if they pass some judgment. Only thing, it will be a moral victory for that lobby which is saying that it is a
Anti-Israel.
genocide. Yeah.
Correct. Sir, this conflict, as we now move on to the next topic, sir, with Houthis, stopping the energy flow, with your our own IMAC coming under a cloud, isn't it a serious economic setback? And India is going to be adversely affected because of whatever is going on there. Our dream of, with Saudi Arabia, US, and India, G20, we were celebrating announcement of the IMAC, the India Middle East Europe
Economic,
corridor
yeah, Europe corridor.
corridor. We were celebrating that. Now, I will also request you to bring in a little bit of China angle also into it, sir.
Okay, just let me put things in perspective. First
Sir,
is the short answer is I do suspect that China may have been somewhere involved in engineering this
correct.
big conflict because suddenly they have started feeling that IMEC may impact their BRI project. And India US had been working that I2U2, and earlier they had given certain other things that uh, new Marshall Plan and all those things.
Correct.
Now the fact remains, Italy has walked out of
Correct.
BRI.
BRI.
Now what does that mean? The only place BRI was getting an access to Europe was Trieste in Italy. Now they will
Correct.
not have that access. So that is one thing. Now, as far as second preparation India had done was post Modi's visit to US last year. In August, Modi for a day visited Greece. So there were options. The two of the ports, Kovala and I'm forgetting the other name, that they were prepared to give it to Adani's.
Yes.
Haifa has already gone to Adani's. So Pirayus, where it is supposed to be landing now, now this IMEC. Now, if Haifa link does not work out, then India will have to think of some other options.
Yes.
Options like going through Egypt to Alexandria and on to Europe, which will, I mean, keep adding the cost to it. Keep
Correct.
adding cost to it. So therefore, to my mind, IMEC definitely is going to be impacted. And what India had been for last 2-3 years had been preparing for it. You
Hmm.
know, India initially tried to invest into that INSTC, that is International North-South Trade Corridor,
Corridor.
which is from Chabahar to Zaidan, Zaidan to Zaran, Sharan to Delram, on to Tajikistan,
Correct.
and thereafter to Russia. And from there,
Correct.
Russia or Azerbaijan. So Azerbaijan Armenia conflict happened. So that had become quite, I mean, there are problems with INSTCs. So therefore, India tried traditional, say, historical route, that is from Bharoch, Lothal, or Dholavira,
Correct.
going to peninsula of Arab, and with the camels, they are going across that and on to across Mediterranean to Europe. Now, with this kind of a thing, so Jabal Ali, yes, it is possible. Jabal Ali or Fujairah, one of the places in South UAE, it will land going from western coast of India. It will work to Daman or somewhere, Tamam or something in Saudi Arabia. Also, it will reach.
Correct, sir.
But now, Saudi Arabia and Israel are not on the same page.
Absolutely.
So it will be a very, very, say, it has become, I won't call it non starter, but
Difficult.
definitely a big setback. A big setback.
No, so problem is that even Biden he seems to now start telling Israel that accept the two-state solution. Saudi
Yes.
Arabia has said that we are ready to normalize our relations with Israel in case two-state solution is accepted by Israel. The personality that Netanyahu is, he's stubborn for whatever reasons. But eventually, do you see any solution to this? That probably two-state solution is the only solution left, and this time probably, it will go through.
This is the only solution. This is the only solution which they will have to accept. You know, that post Oslo Accord, there are four countries which almost agreed to recognize, say, Bahrain, Morocco, Sudan, and UAE. These four countries had agreed. Post Camp David and post that Accord of 79, Jordan and Egypt had also recognized. So, say, Trump administration and now Biden administration both have attempted to de-escalate the situation because they also realize that they cannot afford Middle East to boil because it has got its own problems, and it has not only, you look at it. So today, because of this Houthi issue,
So,
Bab al Mandab is become difficult to cross.
correct.
Bab al Mandab becoming difficult to cross. Illat is almost becoming non-functional in Israel. Then going to Suez, it will be difficult. So
Correct.
the kind of economy it would impact is quite substantial. So you'll have to take a longer route. So it may say India has worked out that option of Vladivostok Chennai link. So that
Correct.
thing link will have to be given more due thought. So probably this is the only solution which is possible, and Americans have realized this. That two-state solution is the solution, and that is going as per the spirit of 1948 UN resolution when they
Correct.
decided that there'll be two countries. So now there'll be two countries. I mean, have a heart, yeah. Israel can keep claiming that 2000 years back it was Judea and Samaria in the north of Israel.
Israel.
But from 6th or 7th century, it is Palestinians who are there. So
Yes.
almost for 13, 14, 100 years, the Palestinians had been there. You just say कि नहीं जी अब तुम भागो घर छोड़ो. ऐसा
Mm.
नहीं होता यार. ये तो बिल्कुल ही मतलब kind of an unacceptable solution है. So therefore, two-state solution is the only, and one can see why Netanyahu is not agreeing for it. The internal lobby, there is one of the chief, the previous chief, he says we must go for say ceasefire. He has already said that. So there
Yes.
voice of discordant voice, there's a voice of
Within, yes, yes.
within Israel are coming up because yes, day before yesterday 21 of their people got killed. Now
Correct.
Israel is a country where technology may be there, but manpower is at premium. 21 आदमी मरना is not a joke for Israel. I mean,
Yes.
even one human life is
Yes.
um,
Precious.
precious. But Israel, especially, that's a country where manpower is less. So therefore,
Correct.
they cannot afford to lose men. So therefore, they will have to come down to, and Netanyahu, because of the corruption charges and other things which are against him, he doesn't want to leave, and as a wartime leader he is in the control of chair. So therefore
Yes,
he feels that भाई साहब जितने दिन तक लड़ाई चलती रही है मेरा तो भला होगा. That
correct.
kind of a situation.
Sir, I think by and large, what we had set out to discuss, we have done it, sir. With your permission, we'll take few questions.
Please.
The first question is from JP. Ask General Sir, Rafah governance area is 65 square kilometer. Its population has swelled 6 times from 200,000 on October 7th to 1.2 million today. Question is, how does a 65 square kilometer area keep extra 1 million people suddenly?
This is JP. This is exactly what we had been discussing. This is a humanitarian issue. This is indeed a humanitarian issue. And you just look at the double speak of people involved. On one side, Israel is claiming that we are victim of terrorism, so we have right to kill terrorists. Okay, that is one side of it. Hamas says we are fighting for the cause of Palestinians. So we will keep using Palestinian homes and other things as human shields. इजिप्ट सेज भाई साहब आप कुछ कर लो, हमारे अंदर तो आप नहीं आ सकते हो क्योंकि सिनाई में हम आपको घुसने नहीं देंगे.
Correct.
जॉर्डन कह रहा है कि भाई तुम्हें जो कुछ करना हो करो, बट वेस्ट बैंक से एक भी बंदा हमारे यहाँ नहीं आना चाहिए.
Absolutely.
तो ये जाए तो जाए कहाँ बेचारे. So that is what the entire, I mean, I totally agree with you. The bigger human crisis is in the making. You know, आज की तारीख में जो बंदे पे बंदे चढ़े हुए हैं, sanitation, food, water supply, all these things, the medical issues,
Yes.
there will be bigger issues in Rafah. So therefore, ये एक
Problem
वो
तो है sir.
बहुत तगड़ी प्रॉब्लम है. एक मैंने
Because
बहुत पहले एक शेयर पढ़ा था, वो ये इनके लिए ठीक है, कौम के गम में डिनर खाते हैं हुक्काम के साथ, रंज लीडर को है बहुत आराम के साथ. ये इजिप्शियन जो है ये तो इसके लिए तैयार है कि हम पैलेस्टीनियंस को ले लेंगे.
but sir
ये जो है,
देखिए, where is Muslim Ummah?
नो मुस्लिम उम्मा को इन सब से कुछ लेना देना ही नहीं है ना. वो
And
तो
where is OIC, sir?
no, they had an issue with Ram Mandir. They don't have the issue with this kind of a thing.
Correct, sir. So,
Therefore,
no, it
Muslim
is very
Ummah and all,
sad.
it's all hogwash. It's all
Absolutely.
hogwash.
It's
I don't take them very seriously.
it's a very sad thing, sir. Pregnant women delivering children in the open without medicine and with bombs being dropped in that particular area. Sir, ठीक है,
No,
इजराइल तो कर रहा है.
Israel
Palestinian,
needs to
Hamas,
realize that these kind of children who are coming up, they will so brutalize that they will be they will be, when they grow up,
correct, sir.
they will have no sympathy for human values and they will say अच्छा ठीक है यार मरते हैं तो मरने तो क्या फर्क पड़ता, हम भी मार देंगे. That kind of this trauma will always change the entire population psychology, which is not a very healthy thing, which is not the healthy thing.
तो अल्टीमेटली सर, जो हम अपने इंसर्जेंसी एरिया के अंदर मिसगाइडेड यूथ को कर रहे हैं, एंड वी बीन वेरी सक्सेसफुल ऑन टू काउंट, सर. One is that what one of the diplomats had told. He says we exhibited strategic patience. No, whether it is Northeast or it is J&K, we have taken a lot of incidents have happened, but we have. And second thing probably is winning hearts and minds of the people of that place. Solely, perpetrating violence probably is not the answers.
I mean, eye for eye does not leave. The domino effect of what you are saying is winning hearts and minds of people and all those things. So Israel will have to come to some kind of a solution that they will
Yes,
have to go back to drawing board to think about it. And maybe their parliament will have to depose Netanyahu ki bhai bhago idhar se, koi aur
correct.
people who are prepared to accept some kind of Itzhak Rabin kind of a champ, someone comes.
Yes, yes,
When Camp David happened.
yes.
So that Rabin was there, the president of, I mean, say, prime minister of
of Israel.
Israel. So some
Correct.
Isaac Rabin kind of a person has to come through.
Correct. Shrutik, why does the world rely on the numbers put out by the Palestinian Health Authority? I don't deny that people are being hurt, many innocent too, maybe, but their figures are hard to believe. It's a
Uh, Shrutik, what I would say, the in any kind of a conflict, first casualty is the truth. I totally am with you on this issue. But the fact of the matter is, it's a strip. Gaza is just a strip. So therefore, when you are putting pressure in north, the people would be running, whoever survived to live, to south. Now, unless you find a way from where they can go out, they are keep getting bottled there.
Mhm.
Acha. Second thing is that Israelis have realized that some of those, say, openings to their tunnel system of Hamas is through hospitals,
Mhm.
through human settlements. So therefore, they are not sparing those things also. So that is why the casualty may not be what they claim, but the fact remains, it is still very, very substantial, very, very substantial. And this human tragedy needs to stop somewhere, sometime. You just cannot allow 5 million people to just die, keep dying like this. ऐसे नहीं हो सकता. World will have to think about it.
Partha asks, sir, do you think this South Africa case against Israel in ICJ is a tit for tat balancing act for the ICJ's arrest warrant for Mr. Putin that led him to skip BRICS meet in Johannesburg?
You know, even that time, the fact of the matter is that this is indeed is a part of a international, say, you can say, hedging. I would say international hedging, that you that Western world tried to claim that Putin is a war criminal and so he should be arrested. Now South Africa, who is representing African continent, some of them are saying that Israel has done it, so Israel should also be. So even if they issue warrant, where is Netanyahu going to go? He won't go
Correct.
anywhere. He'll
Hmm.
stay in his country, like Putin is staying. Despite all that, nothing much has happened to Putin, and nothing much
Yes.
will happen to Putin. So Netanyahu also. My sense is that, as we had discussed earlier during our say interaction with the between me and Rakesh, it emerged that they don't have any, say, mechanism to enforce their will.
Yeah.
So ICJ is that, okay, they can put some pressure, but then that's it. It's only the
प्रेशर
moral.
डलेगा सर लेकिन
हाँ,
इम्प्लीमेंट नहीं करा सकता.
नहीं करा सकते unless America wants it to be implemented.
That's right. The problem is that US own position is very weak. Whatever one may say, but the president is dilly-dallying on his statements are not very confirming to this. And then now, with elections coming up, he won't know what to say, what not to say. Sir. And yes, it
No,
is a
no,
serious issue.
they cannot. They have got a stated policy to support
Correct.
to Israel, and that is why in ICJ, if you notice, US, UK, Germany, they have gone against the case.
Case.
It's a stated policy. It's a part of their stated policy. So there are
Correct.
certain fence sitters like India and all those things who say, no, we have no position on such things.
Hmm.
We don't call it genocide. We call it, it is, yes, it's a humanitarian crisis and which needs to be
Correct.
supported. Now
Hmm.
you look at it. What has South Africa, for that
What
matter,
could?
the African Union has contributed to support the humanitarian cause of Palestinians?
Uh,
आप वहां तो चले गए आईसीजे में, लेकिन आपने क्या कोई 100-200 मिलियन का सपोर्ट प्रोवाइड किया? नहीं, कुछ नहीं किया.
uh,
सपोर्ट तो आप प्रोवाइड नहीं कर रहे हो, तो ये तो आपका, यू आर ट्राइंग टू just build a case for nothing. So to my mind, I mean, I'm not taking it very seriously.
yeah. Sir, one last question and then we close. How does the heavy wokeism in Israel in general and in armed forces have a larger effect on both Israel and Palestine? Why is Bibi against two states, existential crisis or religious oblique politicals?
Very, very good question.
Absolutely.
This wokeism is not only impacting Israel, it is impacting the entire world. Even US is getting impacted by this. This wokeism or left-leaning policies of people. Now, Israel armed forces, which were a monolithic till very recently, as we discussed, that one of the chiefs says ki we should go for peace accord or something. We should go for ceasefire. Now it is impacting. That is part one. That so Israel, that totally that rightist philosophy is being challenged by a section of society. And in any society where haves and the gap between haves and have nots increases for real reasons or perceived reasons, this will have a resonance with people. That is one part of it. Now, as far as two states, Israel right now is trying to go against two-state solution for the simple reason that they want a guarantee for their existence. Now, if you know, realize that in 1948 also, Arabs world has not accepted the existence of Israel
Israel.
until Camp David Accord, when Egypt agreed to establish diplomatic relations with Israel. They never considered their right to exist.
Yes.
Similarly, in 1979, when the accord with Jordan took place, then Jordan came on board. Now, Abraham Accord, when it happened, say, let's go sequentially. Then 1988, they they were given observer status and the
Yes.
right to, and which was recognized by India also. Then
Correct.
1993, that Oslo Accord, that PNA was accepted as the uh, Palestine's
Representation.
legitimate ruler.
Hmm.
So again, something happened. Then Abraham Accords, where Saudi Arabia and subsequently those four countries agreed to establish diplomatic relations with. So therefore, now, in case if this happens, the situation will stabilize. Now, will Iran, it will be to the satisfaction of Iran? I don't think so. So, Iran has its own reason for it not to happen. So, something beyond the scene which is happening, which needs to be taken into account simultaneously. China having its own, say, finger in the pie, Russia having its own.
Correct.
Right now, Russia is not in a very strong position to enforce his will. But the fact is, Shia Sunni divide in Islamic world, they will try to exploit, and which is quite substantial. And Iran is trying to become a leader of that. So, therefore, two state definitely is an existential crisis as this moment for Israel.
Hmm.
But in case Netanyahu is not in the chair, probably somebody else may look at it differently. So now the only solution probably is that Netanyahu will have to give way to someone who is little more reasonable on such issues.
Sir, there are a few more questions, but some of them are actually not directly related to today's podcast. I have taken note of each and every question. It probably gives us idea to do a next plan our next episodes, like
Okay.
Holocaust, genocide. They also
We
saying
will,
that
will, will
India has
definitely.
also faced that. Then there are a few more questions about use of air force in this conflict. So since we are expanding the scope, if we take these questions, so we will plan according to as and when we plan our
Air
few
Force we can
few.
take because Air Force is something which Israel has used very effectively.
Yes,
But
okay.
what my point
I'll take
is,
this question. I'll take
ah,
this. What lesson does Israel-Gaza war teach for future modern conflicts on the use of modern air force power to achieve war aims, be it political or military? What is your takes?
yeah. That's a good question, but
Yes.
JP, what we need to take into account uh, from Gulf War itself, Gulf War One itself, it has come down clearly that finally it is not the technology alone which will be a decisive factor in any kind of a conflict. It will have to be boots on ground. Now, what they have done, if you notice, the Sixth Fleet, the Americans came. They have put a kind of a siege around from where the weapons could come from Iran to say Gaza. They stopped that. So that is one part of it. Now, as far as Israel is concerned, they have used it to cause mass destruction.
Yeah.
It's a mass destruction. But has it been able to reduce the strength of Hamas? It may have dented, as I said earlier. It definitely has not finished their strength because the tunnel system are very, very strong. And in any kind of a terrorist operation, terrorists have the initiative. Which tunnel he'll pop up from, one does not know. By some reckoning, it is said that by some reports that some of the tunnels are connected to Jenin also in West Bank. Now, if that be the case, they will just come to West Bank. So, therefore, Air Force in this conflict, and for that matter, Russo-Ukraine war also, clearly has shown its limitation.
Hmm.
It can be a very good force multiplier, but definitely not the battle decisive winning decisive factor.
Like you
That's
said,
what
sir, you
my
can't hold ground using Air Force, sir. Ultimately, it
anything you would like to
is.
add, Rakesh?
Yes. Sir, I was just saying that with Air Force, you can create the battlefield, but you cannot control the ground. Like you said, boots on ground is extremely important. You in isolation, air power cannot be used in this such a thing, and then the collateral
No,
damage
no.
that it
Even
causes.
in Tora Bora and all those things, they could never do
Yes,
it. I mean, in
they could never
Afghanistan,
do
they
it.
could not do it. They could not do it
Yes,
in any conflict. If you see Gulf wars, they could not do it. Finally, the revolutionary guards will have to be humbled by ground
correct.
operations.
Absolutely. So there's one more question now that we have extended our time. And if Egyptians are not ready to take Gazans, then why not create colony in Africa? This is a good idea, sir.
Good idea. I would say it's a good idea, but then there are two parts of it. Whether which is the country which is prepared to take them?
That's it.
Somebody will have to come up front. कि हाँ भाई हमारे आ जाओ रहने लगो. Second is the cultural issues. Will
Yeah.
Palestinians be keen to go there?
You can't
I
leave your
remember a
land,
case
sir.
where
You can't force.
Bosnians were given were offered by Ziaul Haq to come to
Correct.
Pakistan. They came and they went
And
back.
they went back.
100 of them came and they went back because cultural issues they decide. So they would like to feel and why should because Egyptians say कि भाई सिनाई में नहीं आओ बाकी कहीं चले
हाँ,
जाओ
absolutely.
सिनाई में ऐसा कौन सा तुम्हारा तो क्या है तो तुम्हें देना
हाँ, क्या
चाहिए ना
है? Desert ही
if
है,
you,
सर,
if you
क्या है?
are if you are if you are if you are sympathetic to the cause of Palestinians then do
हाँ,
support them
correct.
वहां पे तुम चुपचाप बैठे हुए हो is Saudi Arabia prepared to accept them no they are not prepared to accept them
Iran, Qatar, nobody,
अगर
sir.
Arabs are not prepared to accept that which is the African country which will be prepared to accept them.
Never, sir. Sir, thank you very much. I think we have what we had decided. We just overshot it by a few minutes, sir. Thank you very much for a great talk, sir. And we look forward to more interactions. We'll try and look for new subjects. I'll request the audience to, of course, view, share, like, and subscribe to our channel. And please give us in a comment section what topics you want us to cover. Thank you very much, sir.
Okay, thanks for inviting me.
Thank you, sir.